The Majin Buu saga is probably the most divisive arc in all of Dragon Ball, and I say that because you either love this arc or you hate it. There are some fans who absolutely love this arc, there are fans who will die on a hill absolutely defending this arc, and then there are other fans who will trash this arc to its grave. Now, I'm here to just give you my thoughts on what I think of the saga, and I'll tell you whether or not I think it was overrated or overhated. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at the Majin Buu saga, and let's see if it was overrated or overhated. Now, this video will be split up into 3 sections. Those 3 sections being transformations, pacing, and character development. Now, all 3 of these things have one thing in common. Fans either love or hate them. They either love or hate these things. So let's just go through one by one and see whether or not they deserve the love or hate. Let's start off with the easy one. Let's start off with all of the character transformations in this saga, because newsflash, there are a crap ton of transformations in the Majin Buu saga, both from Majin Buu and the other characters. There are so many transformations, but does that necessarily make it bad? Just because there's a lot doesn't mean that, each of these forms can't have their own moments where they're cool, or where you're like, oh damn, that was actually really interesting, I love that. Just because there's a lot doesn't mean that it can't have good quality as well, right? So does it have good quality? I mean, most of these forms are interesting, but I really think that they should have maybe cut down on how many transformations there were, because let's just think about it, bro. There were a crap ton of transformations. Majin Buu himself had so many transformations, it's crazy. He put Frieza to shame with the amount of transformations he had. And look, I know I just said earlier that just because it has a high quantity doesn't mean it has to have a low quality. Well, that's not the problem here. The problem is there are so many transformations, I can't get hooked on one, because as soon as I get hooked on this transformation, guess what? They already just transformed again. There is nothing wrong with cramming a lot of transformations into one story. I mean, if you like Naruto, let's not act like Naruto didn't get like 3 transformations in one arc during the War Saga, right? Let's not act like that didn't happen, right? But that's the thing. Those transformations were spread out. Naruto didn't just get KCM 2 right after he unlocked KCM. Dude, in the manga, Naruto didn't unlock KCM 2 till like damn near like 100 chapters after he unlocked KCM 1. Now, I say all that to mention this. I do like some of the transformations in the Majin Buu saga. So for instance, Goku turning Super Saiyan 3, I mean, of course, that moment is legendary. I'm sure for most fans, that moment is like etched into their memory, right? If you ask me, I think Gotenks finally turning Super Saiyan 3 was, okay, well, number one, that honestly blew my socks off as a kid. Like, seeing that, I did not expect them to go Super Saiyan 3. That genuinely surprised me, but like, another thing about it is just the fact that they literally broke time and space by just yelling and then they left the time chamber. That moment right there is goated. That right there made them my favorite fusion. And I'm also a really big fan of Buhan. I just think that Buhan's look is honestly really cool. Like, he is literally wearing Gohan's gi. I don't know, like, honestly, I don't know if he wore it to like mock Goku or what, but like, he's got that shit on. Let's just say that right now. He's got that shit on. He wore it better than Gohan and Goku. And honestly, I'd say that's about it. I'm not really a fan of the other transformations of this arc. They're not bad per se, it's just like I said earlier, there were just simply way too many for me to focus on one and be like, oh damn, that was really cool, holy shit. Like, there was just simply no time for that. So yes, that is actually a valid argument amongst most people, is that Majin Buu saga has way too many transformations. That argument is valid, I will give them that. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, and that topic would just happen to be pacing. Now, pacing seems to be the biggest problem people have with this arc. A lot of people think that this arc drags on, especially towards like the start of the arc. Things just tend to drag on a little bit, and it takes time for things to actually get going, right? That can be a good thing, but here's the problem. It wasn't fucking good, not at all. Like, honestly, if you ask me, I would much rather see Gohan training rather than see Gohan going to school and being Great Saiyaman. while that was cool, I guess it was cool to see Gohan actually living a normal life and not being a child soldier. That's cool and all, but I wanted to see Gohan train and, not be a fucking scholar. Who the fuck wants to see Gohan being a scholar? That is probably the worst version of Gohan in my opinion. Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. If someone told me that they didn't want to finish Dragon Ball Z simply because of the Majin Buu saga and how long it took for things to get good, I would not blame them. I literally would just look at them and be like, yeah, I can honestly understand that. Now, that is not to say that the whole arc is a snooze fest. Far from it, in my opinion. It's just things take a while to get good, and it takes a while for Majin Buu to be introduced as a villain. But trust me, as soon as he's introduced and as soon as things start to pick up in the story, that's when things start to get good in my opinion. And it's at that point where the pacing problems just seem to go away. The best way I could describe the Majin Buu saga to make it make sense is it's like watching someone paint on a canvas. Yes, at first it looks like nothing, right? But given time, that blank piece of paper that looks like nothing can turn into something very beautiful, given enough time and effort. And that's exactly how I feel about this arc. Yeah, at first it takes time for things to get good, but trust me, if you just wait and give it patience, it will be well worth the wait. I promise you. This arc has some of the best fights in the series, in my opinion at least. I know some people will probably disagree with that, but in my opinion, bro, the Majin Buu saga has some of the best fights we've seen yet. But with all that said, it doesn't really make up for the bad pacing at the start, and yeah, this argument is actually valid amongst most people. Like, I can't really argue against it. The Majin Buu saga does have very bad pacing at the start, like I said, at the very start, but if you give it some time, all of it goes away, and it's actually a pretty interesting story in my opinion. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the next topic, and that topic being character progression. And honestly, one character alone saves this topic alone from me absolutely tearing it a new one, and that is Vegeta. Vegeta's character progression alone is the best that we've seen up until this point in the series, even better than Piccolo's. I just want you to remember how Vegeta was in the Saiyan saga, and especially during Namek, and compare that Vegeta to the very start of the Majin Buu saga Vegeta. They are night and day. One of them is a family man who cares for his family. The other is a space pirate who goes around selling planets to Space Hitler. Like, they are complete opposites of one another. With that being said, let's take a look at that same picture of Vegeta who's a family man, and let's compare him to this version of Vegeta later on in this same saga. What the fuck happened? No, but seriously, I actually like this complete 180 Akira Toriyama took with Vegeta's character, because this showed us that Vegeta was willing to throw everything he had in the trash simply for more power. He had a family, he had his home life settled down, he had everything going for him, and he saw that Goku was more powerful than him, and he went back to his old ways, and he wanted to be stronger than Goku again. Vegeta at this point is willing to sell his soul to Babidi just in the hopes of even having a chance at fighting Goku. And when he does get to fight Goku, he makes another selfish choice in the fact that it is heavily hinted that during their fight, Goku and Vegeta were pretty much letting out a lot of energy, and Babidi was taking this energy and he was using that energy to fuel Majin Buu's revive. And Vegeta knew this, and he didn't care. He simply wanted to just be better than Goku. And it's only after Majin Buu is actually revived that Vegeta notices Majin Buu's insane power, and he realizes that he may or may not have fucked up just a little bit, and he realizes that it's his responsibility to take on Buu now. There's no reason Goku should have to fight this guy if he didn't want to fight him in the first place, right? So Vegeta knocks out Goku and he goes to confront Majin Buu, and it's at this point that Vegeta starts to make another 180 turn and he tries to make things right. He goes to confront Majin Buu and he realizes very, very quickly that he is absolutely no match for Majin Buu at all. This is the same Majin Buu who later fights Super Saiyan 3 Goku at like an equal term. Yeah, this man was literally outmatched by a large margin. So he knew very quickly that he wasn't going to win this fight. So he actually sacrifices himself and he tries to take out Buu with him in the hopes that, yeah, he dies, but so does Majin Buu. With that being said, his plan fails absolutely terribly, and Majin Buu quickly regenerates after the fact, so Vegeta quite literally only sacrificed himself for the aura points. That's it. But I mean, at least I can say he looked very cool while doing it, and I give him 2 thumbs up for that one. Then later when he gets revived back to Earth, he comes back a brand new man. This man is done with all that hatred for Goku. He doesn't care about being stronger anymore. He simply just wants to get rid of Majin Buu. Vegeta at this point is even willing to cast aside his pride for a second and fuse with Goku. And he also knew that if he fuses with Goku at this point, there may be a chance that he might not get his normal body back, right? But he took that chance for the greater good. Something any version of Vegeta prior to this would never even fathom doing. It's at this point that you can actually consider Vegeta a genuine good guy. Before this, Vegeta was never a good guy per se. He was at most neutral. And if he had to choose, he would help the good guys solely because he lived on Earth and he had nowhere else to go, right? But now he's actually making a better choice to be a better person. And you love to see it. Then later on, while Goku is fighting Kid Buu, Vegeta comes to the realization that he just simply is not on Goku's level at this point. Goku at this point in the series is just on a completely different level than Vegeta, and Vegeta embraces that. He completely accepts that fact, and he tells himself that yes, Goku is in fact better than me, and it's not necessarily about being better, it's just about using that power to protect those you love. And that's what Vegeta embraces after this point. So after hearing all that, I'm sure you can come to the conclusion that Vegeta has one of the best character arcs in all of anime. Not just Dragon Ball, all of anime in general. Name a character with better character progression than Vegeta. I'm sorry, you're gonna be very hard pressed to find one. There are some out there, but not that many, bro. Not that many at all. This is definitely one positive side of the Majin Buu saga. It has really good character progression for a lot of characters, not just Vegeta. I literally sat up here for like 5 minutes absolutely glazing Vegeta, but trust me, there are other characters in this arc who have just as good character progression. For instance, let's talk about Gohan as a character during this arc. So at the start of this arc, Gohan was a fucking nerd. He was all in his books, right? He didn't care about fighting anymore, which, I mean, that is very understandable. You know, knowing his childhood, I can definitely see why he doesn't like fighting, but still, I didn't like to see it for him, right? Me as the reader, I did not like seeing it, and knowing that Gohan becomes a fucking badass later on in this arc, yeah, it definitely saves his character for me. As a matter of fact, I'm not even gonna harp on this for too long. I'm just gonna show you 2 pictures of Gohan. Look at this version of Gohan at the very start of the saga. He's a fucking nerd, right? Nobody cares. Then look at this version of Gohan when he first fought Super Buu. Yeah, complete night and day difference. Honestly, I was about to talk about every character and how they changed during this arc, but I'd be here for like 2 hours talking about that, so what do you say we just move on to the final topic? Alright, now for this final topic, I just wanted to give you guys like my overall thoughts of the Majin Buu saga as a whole. So if I'm gonna be completely brutally honest about this saga, yes, I do like it, but I do think that this is the worst arc in Dragon Ball Z. That does not mean it's bad, that just means Dragon Ball is so good that this arc just simply does not hold up to arcs that came either before or even in some cases after it. So yes, I do think this arc is good, but there were some things that I would change, and I pretty much made a whole video talking about all of the things I would change, right? So yes, I do like this saga, but it just has certain things holding it back in my opinion. With that being said, that will be the end of today's video. So if you guys enjoyed today's video, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below telling me what you guys think about this saga. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you think it's mid? Like, I want to know what you guys think. So please let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.